Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Tomasi, and I'm Vice President of Client Success for Sterling Healthcare and Life Sciences. I'll be hosting today's webinar. We're very excited to put hopefully a different spin on the typical webinar, making this one more interactive with our audience and also in the format of a game show. Our topic today is centered on knowing who you are hiring. We hope you walk away learning something valuable about how to build a strong candidate pre-screening process to identify any areas of concern that your policy or regulators require you to find before you make a hiring decision. So before I introduce those who join me today, please allow me just a moment to introduce the Sterling organization. As you know, we are a global leader in background screening and identity services. And at the heart of our organization, and you'd see it embodied throughout our culture, we're a mission and a values-driven company. We promote environments that are based on trust and safety so that you can protect and serve your employees and patients, residents, customers, partners around the world. We are actually located in 22 offices across 9 countries. And importantly, we are organized here by industry vertical. This allows us to deliver a deep expertise and an elevated client service model to our customers in a boutique operation while still having the support of broader Sterling so that our clients can capitalize on that scale, infrastructure, and financial strength of the larger organization. So I'm very excited because joining me today to participate in our topic today are Sterling colleagues, Ryan Garman and Brittany Bills, and also joining us are 2 very dear clients, Children's National and Becton Dickinson. We have teams assembled from both organizations who will compete in a friendly competition today, and we're looking forward to spending the next hour with you. Also from the Sterling team, but not on video, Angelina DeRitis, Marketing Director for Healthcare and Life Sciences and a very close partner of mine, is working the go-to meeting behind the screen. She's largely responsible for getting today's webinar to come together, and I'd like to thank her for that. But importantly, also let the audience know that she will be launching audience polls throughout the next 60 minutes together. So with that, I'm going to turn it over first for introductions to Ryan, followed by Brittany. If you both wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, and if you could tell us either a fun fact or what you're most looking forward to for this summer, you pick which one.
Hey everyone, Ryan Garman, Director of our Healthcare and Life Sciences Division. A fun fact is we will be traveling across the country with a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old for the first time to visit my parents and their grandparents in Las Vegas, Nevada. So it will be quite interesting, I think, to say the least.
And Brittany, your turn.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Bills. I am a professional services partner at Sterling in the Healthcare and Life Sciences Division. My fun fact is that I was recently married by Elvis, and I was aware that I was getting married by Elvis when I made that decision to get married.
I vote Brittany's fun fact over yours, Ryan.
Wow, the competition starts already.
And so with that, I'll turn it over to our customer contestants today to introduce yourselves. Jean Marie, if we could start with you. Tell us a little bit about your organization, who you are, and then you pick your fun fact just like Brittany and Ryan did.
Not a problem, Jen, thanks. So I'm here to represent Becton Dickinson, also known as BD. BD is one of the largest global medical technology companies in the world and is advancing the world of health by improving medical discovery, diagnostics, and the delivery of care. We really support the heroes on the front line of healthcare, and BD has a presence in virtually every country and partners with organizations around the world to address some of the most challenging global health issues. So we are passionate about what we do, and I'm excited to be part of this panel today, so thank you for inviting me. I am a global talent acquisition operations leader for Becton Dickinson, so my role is to support the organization's processes and technology for all of our hiring that we do. And part of that is our background screening and onboarding processes. One of the fun facts for me is I might actually be crazy enough to go to 2 theme parks this summer with my 8-year-old. So keep your fingers crossed for me. I live in Florida. It's hot, so I don't know if you're aware of that. It's gonna be really hot, and there's gonna be a lot of people. So I don't know if I beat Ryan's or Brittany's, but definitely up there in the sanity check realm. So
Yeah, Jen, are you going to stack
I'm
rank all of
going,
us?
I actually was. I'm going to go Brittany, Jean Marie, then Ryan. Ryan's drive cross country, I have a feeling, is going to come in last place. Thank you, Jean Marie. Appreciate that. And so let's turn it over to our children's national team. Robin, if we could start with you, introduce your organization and then yourself, along with the fun fact or the summer event, whichever you prefer. And then for the children's team, if we could just continue introductions in order as pictured, that would be great.
Of course. Hi, everyone. I am Robin Danso. I'm representing Children's National today. As the nation's children's hospital, our mission is to excel in care, advocacy, research, and education. We accomplish these things through providing a quality healthcare experience for our patients and families, improving health outcomes for children regionally, nationally, and internationally, and leading the creation of innovation solutions to pediatric health challenges. We also make diversity and inclusion a priority in everything that we do, from the physicians and clinical folks that we hire to just ensuring that they mirror the patients that we serve. I am the talent acquisition manager. I manage the day-to-day operations of both our recruitment and our onboarding teams. Collectively, we support the recruitment strategies and onboarding efforts for a population of 8,000 employees. And a little fun fact about me, my family and I are taking our 2nd trip to West Africa this summer.
Wow.
I think she
That's
goes to the top
awesome.
of the list with that one.
Yes, that sounds like a fun event, I have to say. And then we can just continue on with introductions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shaw. I am a talent acquisition coordinator with Children's. I've been going on about 4 months now. It's my first big kid job. I'm very proud of that. A fun fact or something interesting I'm going to do this summer. I am not taking any fun trips with my family. Instead, I just booked my first friends only solo trip this summer.
Very fun.
Thank you.
That's climbing to the top of the list.
Yeah, can I get on that trip when I get back from Vegas?
No children or significant others calling your name.
Sounds lovely.
And Mia.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I am Mia Vinson. I am one of the senior leads on the talent acquisition team, responsible personally for corporate level roles as well as some lab positions as well. And I think, I don't know if I could top what you guys say, but I am a football girl, love it, love it. I'm the rowdy one in the room, but then also I'm the dainty one that could also drink the wine too. So I have the mix of both sides. And this summer, I'm looking forward to festivals. I'm a huge music lover, so anytime I can go out and be outside and listen to some good music, oh, I'm there 100% all day. So that's just a little bit about me.
Thank you. Really appreciate everyone's introductions, and everyone sounds like they have great plans coming up this summer. Appreciate you sharing. So we'll go ahead and get started with the game for today. So first, I just want to comment, please use the chat feature to ask questions. This is to our audience. Please use the chat feature to ask questions or make comments. Angelina will be monitoring those for the duration of the hour. And today's game is going to consist of 2 games. One game is fact or myth, and the second game I will tell you more about in just a moment. But first, let's run a quick fact or myth question just to make sure everyone knows how to use the audience poll. So I will read the first fact or myth question, and this is meant for the audience to poll as well as our contestants to also, weigh in and tell us what you think, if you could, but I'll prompt you. So CMS specifically states that if you receive funds, you cannot hire an individual that has any history of abuse. The question is that a fact or a myth? And we'll just give our audience 15 seconds at most to pick fact or myth, and then we'll go ahead and read off the answer. Okay, Angelina, do you think we could probably close the poll? All right, so before we read our audience answer, Jean Marie, did you think fact or myth?
I think it's a fact. That's from my experience with working with a provider who does bill Medicare and Medicaid. You have high standards for those that you employ. So I'm gonna say
fact. Okay. And to the children's team, whoever wants to answer for your group, do you think it's a fact or myth?
I definitely feel that it's a fact, 100%.
Wonderful. Now, in terms of getting the audience poll answer, Angelina, there we go. Okay. So audience polled in 68% as fact, consistent with what you all thought on our customer panel. We did start with a little bit of an easier one, not to take away from the fact that everyone got it right. So with that being said, the audience poll works, but Brittany, Ryan, any additional commentary that you might want to add as it relates to this before we move on? All right, and Angelina, if you could just take the poll down, perfect. So let's go ahead and talk about the game that we're going to play and the rules for the game, and then we'll go ahead and officially get started. I am just waiting for the slide to push forward, Angelina. So today, what we're going to do is our speakers, Brittany and Ryan, will share two different personas with an interesting criminal history background and the background checks that would be conducted against this candidate in the pre-hiring process. Our participants, that being Jean Marie for Becton Dickinson and then our Children's National Team, will have the chance to think about your answer and discuss whether or not you think the areas of opportunity, or the areas of concern in the candidate profile would have been captured against the background check that was run. We'll reveal the answer and we'll have an open discussion about the results. All attendees can participate through the polls, so importantly, there will be more audience polling opportunity. Okay? Any questions, or can I go ahead and go forward? All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the first candidate persona. Ryan will be taking lead on Linda Jones.
Okay, Jean Marie, you ready to meet Linda Jones?
I am.
Okay, so Miss Jones here is applying for a position as a physical therapist at a mid-sized post-acute organization. So the question is, will this background check catch a record on Linda? So a bit of brief background on Linda. Her maiden name was Linda Washington. She was born in April of 1980 as Linda Washington. And at the beginning of 2019, she married Frank. It is unclear if Elvis was there or not, but maybe we could ask Britt later. Linda has jumped around a bit. She was born originally in Las Vegas, then moved to Santa Clara, moved up a bit to San Francisco, then jumped across the pond to London, and currently resides in New York City. Linda was convicted of felony assault in New York City a couple years ago in 2017. Linda also then, a few years after that, received her medical marijuana card in June of 2021 and enjoys consuming some edible gummies daily after work. Another interesting fact about Linda is that she used to sell fake COVID-19 vaccination cards via Twitter and Facebook. And you can see the background check that is being run on Linda at the time of hire. So the question is, will this background check catch a record?
Good question. So some of the things I started thinking about when you were explaining the name was the SSN trace. So I think with SSN trace, you should be able to pick up on the maiden name and the married name. So I think that's under control because it's linked to your SSN number. The thing about address history, I'm thinking about the amount of locations she's lived in within the United States will be managed to enhance nationwide. I'm not sure if I'm seeing an item that will support kind of a global view, so something that would connect to her living experience in London, England. Unless maybe I'm missing a name or something was renamed. Jen, just I can't ask you because I don't want to, get an unfair advantage, but that one remains a question mark for me. So I think that I don't have an answer on, but I know we'll at least get the nationwide cover of where she's lived. Now looking at the relevant history. So if we're looking at consuming the gummies and or anything that is drug related, we have a urine panel that's expanded with opioids. So I think that should cover that as well. Selling fake COVID-19 vaccination cards via Twitter and Facebook, we've got social media check, so we'd be able to identify that. And then the medical marijuana card. I'm wondering if that would come up in the level 3, not quite sure. I know that we'll be covered with the level 3 FACIS with the conviction of the felony assault. So for me, I think I think we may be missing the London, England address history information potentially with the current background check package, but I think majority of the items that we would be wanting to check on will be brought forward in the package that we have.
Okay.
Really well done. Yeah. Very well done. And before Ryan, I mean, of course, Ryan, if there's something you want to interject with, go for it. But before we provide the answer, we will punt it over to the Children's National Team to tell us whether or not you would see it differently and have the opportunity to share your view if it's different than what Jean Marie just discussed. And then we'll move to the audience poll and then we'll reveal the answer.
So I will say that Jean Marie hit everything spot on. Given the nature of our business being a pediatric hospital, many of these items listed here, are important to us and would certainly raise concern. So no additional feedback to add. You were spot on.
So just to clarify, everybody says yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Ryan. And so let's move to the audience poll. When we move to the audience poll, this is going to come off the screen so our audience members know. So hopefully, take a screenshot right now or get a good look and hold on to it in your visual memory. And then we'll just allow, 5 to 10 seconds to provide your answer. So go ahead, Angelina, if you don't mind, and launch the poll. Maybe some technical difficulty. Angelina, it was there and then it went away. There we go. Oh, okay. We've got our answer. That was fast. So everyone from the audience said yes. It's on, it's off the screen. It's totally okay. So Angelina, you can go ahead and take that down. And then Ryan, why don't you reveal the real answer and additional points of education for the group?
Absolutely. So, as I'm sure you know, everyone got it right. Yes, we will catch a record. But there are a few nuances to this that I will pause for a second to see if we're going to get the slides back to go through and highlight why it was fantastic. Okay, so Linda here was convicted of a felony assault, but this background check will not catch it. And the reason why is that the county off trace, enhanced nationwide, and locator select do not run alias names. So here's the important part is that the SSN trace will always pick up and return the alias names. But just because the SSN returns an alias name doesn't mean that you're searching it. And this is something that this is a big misconception that we often see out there in the market. And so this is why Sterling proactively encourages all of our clients to always run alias names, because just because you have the information doesn't mean you're going to use it unless your package is configured properly. So it was a trick question to some degree because it doesn't say no alias names, but it also doesn't say with alias names. So we wanted the opportunity to talk about the importance of actually searching the alias names at the counties.
Awesome, thank you. And I have to say, Jean Marie, it looks like your opponents do not have the leg up just because they have 3 people with them. That was really well done and thought out. So thank you for sharing all of that out loud. It really helps the audience connect to the meaningful points that you stated. So let's move to the next persona. Brittany,
Jen?
you're going, yes?
So I will be the rude one who stops you and interrupts you. There's actually 3 pieces to this. So we're not ready to jump to the next persona quite yet.
Oh, I see. I actually was rude. I cut you off early. So go ahead and finish. I'm sorry about that. Ryan and I should do every webinar together.
And this whole time I was worried about like spilling the beans too early. It was Jen that jumped the gun here. So the second piece was the medical marijuana in the consuming of gummies. And this was another bit of a trick question. And Jean Marie, I almost thought you were going to catch this when you started talking about faceless level 3. But there is there's I guess a fact out there. So this is not a myth, this is a fact, that there is no way to validate or verify if a medical marijuana card is in fact legitimate or not. There is no registry. You can't like ping a medical marijuana ID number against a database to make sure it exists. So Sterling has come up with a process, we call it MMA. It stands for medical marijuana attestation. And what we actually do is we reach out to the physician who prescribed the medical marijuana card to verify with the physician if they did in fact do that. And so this specific fictitious employer has chosen that if the individual does have a legitimate medical marijuana card, they want the positive on the THC to come back as negative. So because of that MMA, this will actually report as negative as well because of the way their profile is configured. So again, another bit of a trick question, Jean Marie, where we're being tough on you, but you got the third one. Perfect. There we go. Absolutely, social media. Because social media was part of the package, we were able to identify that Linda here was selling government-issued, fraudulent government-issued documents. So this is where we caught Miss Linda. So, anyone have any questions about these these different components here? Wonderful. Well, good news is everybody got a point.
All right. So now I think it's my cue to move to Miss Brittany, recently married by Elvis. Brittany represents James. So go ahead, Brittany, I'm going to turn it over to you. And this question is initially to Children's National, but we'll follow the same process that we just did on Linda Jones.
Great, thank you. So James Howlett is applying for a position as a physician at a large U.S. health system, and we would like to know if the background check package will catch a record. So info about James. He was born in February 1977, named after his grandfather, James Howlett as well. He goes by Jim. He has lived in Houston, Texas, Marietta, Georgia, and is currently in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In 2016, he got a felony conviction in Wisconsin's Eastern District for mailing opioid prescriptions to folks out of state. This led to a permanent FDA debarment. And then he, out of love for his dear deceased grandfather, but also because he heard it could beat a background check, he began using his father's social security number in 2019. So here you can see the package that was selected for him. Will this package catch a record?
So guys, thinking about the last one, like with the social security number trace, it will pick up the alias if he was in fact convicted based upon that. Let's see, enhanced nationwide search. So it would pick up all of his locations for sure. Let's see.
I think the last aspect of the background check package, I think that might be able to pick up his issue with the FDA and the mailing of the opioid prescriptions across state lines.
Now my question, because the county criminal is 7 years address history. So depending on when it was run, and depending on if it's going to catch 2016, I'm assuming that would catch that, right? And I might be, being a little bit picky with this, but I think that should catch that, depending on when we're running it. I'm trying to look for the holes here. Because we've got the address history. He was caught in Wisconsin. We've got that as the address locator. We've got the county criminal. And using his deceased grandfather's name as James in 2019. See, all of that would be picked up because it'll all tie into the social security number trace, right?
Are we moving to final? Okay, go ahead.
The driver's record. So it's going to pick up with the name. So it's going to cross-reference all of that too. So social security number trace, driver's record trace. I'm going to say yes. That the background check can catch a record. What do you think, Sean?
The only thing I'm thinking of is if he's using his grandfather's social security number from 2019 onwards, his 2016 felony might not come up, but running his driver's record might show like two different social security numbers. So that could be something. I still think the last part of the background check might come into play, especially with this FDA felony charge.
So you're thinking, we don't know for sure.
Robin, what do you think?
I was going to say, I'd say yes, just from the last part of it. As a physician, right? We're running a check on his status as a physician. I'm assuming he's a physician. He applied for a physician role. The only tricky part is the fact that he used his grandfather or his father's social security number. But I'm going to say yes, it's going to pick it. I'm going to make an executive decision and say yes.
Team decision, final answer, yes? Okay.
Yes.
Good answer.
You are locked in. Jean Marie, what do you think?
I think we're going to get prior address history. I think we're going to have a problem with alias because you don't specifically have alias checked on the SSN trace. I also want to, from my experience working with OIG and GSA, what's going to happen is the name will get hit in those databases for the debarment database. But the thing is, then you'll be asked to put in a social security number. If you then put in the social security number of the deceased grandfather in 2019, it will come back and potentially not show it because it's linked to that person because there's so many aliases. What I have found in those experiences is when you're putting in like John Smith, right? The most, traditional name you can find, there'll be a ton of hits and then they'll ask you to specify with an SSN. If it's not the right SSN, it's going to come back that they're not on the list. So I think you're not actually, and I think this is a trick question. So I think we're not actually going to get what we expect on the debarment side of this. So I think you may get some, but there's some you will not.
So a no for Becton Dickinson, a yes for Children's National. And let's now poll our audience. Please take a few seconds to pick yes or no if you are in our audience. All right, could we close the poll, Angelina, and we'll see what the audience pulled in at. 59% said no, 41% said yes. Okay, Brittany, tell us, reveal the truth.
So we will not catch James's records. And so we will talk about why here. This was tricky. And Shai, you were right on the first point. So we'll talk about that right now. So we are not going to catch that felony conviction because it is a federal crime. So this package only has county criminal searching in it. So if we take a look at this, he's using the US mail to send prescriptions across state lines. These are fraudulent prescriptions across state lines. That's going to be a federal crime. And the second part here is that the OIG, GSA, or SAM search does not include FDA debarment. That is a separate screening that you get captured as part of a FACES check. So if your organization is using FACES or is currently using OIG, GSA, but has some other sanctions that you are monitoring for outside of Sterling or outside of your background screening program, adding that FACES check is a great combined search to get you those most searched for and most required exclusion and debarment searches. And then Angelina to the second bit. Great. So then here we're talking about that Social Security in particular. We are not going to catch this because the candidate is, we're checking across the Social Security trace, which is going to look for matches based on name and Social Security. And then therefore there's a chance that it could come back matching because this person has the same name. I think we've all seen background checks where you say, where are these names coming from? Or where do these names apply to my candidate? They are associated. And that's why a lot of healthcare organizations use the death master file search, because it is checking to make sure that the Social Security number provided does not belong to a deceased person. And from there, it matches against name and date of birth. So you're going to see that information aligned one-to-one. So while there is a James Howlett with that social security number. If we check by name and date of birth, it is not our James Howlett.
Actually, could I also just impromptu add one more thing, Brittany, before you go to the next? In addition to that, we are also an identity services company, and we do offer an identity solution. And if an identity solution was also layered in here to the candidate experience, to the pre-screening process early on, we would also be validating at the beginning that the social belongs to the person who they say it belongs to. So that would be an upfront point of validation, saving you time, risk, resources, everything in the downstream. So I just also wanted to call that out in addition to what Brittany just communicated.
Any questions on James and his record?
All right. So we are going to move to the lightning round. Thank you so much, Brittany. Thank you so much, Ryan. We're going to need your added commentary here in just a moment. Our fun competition, to recap the score right now, we have two to Becton Dickinson, to Jean Marie. But to the Children's National Team, this is your chance to catch up. So in the lightning round, both organizations will get a chance to answer 3 fact or myth questions. You'll have 10 seconds to answer, and you have a lifeline. So each contesting group has 1 lifeline. If you want to poll the audience, you can. So if you're unsure, you can say poll the audience. I took a cue from Deal or No Deal and are bringing that in here. In the case we have a tie, we'll have 1 bonus question, and whoever will answer that question correctly will win. So let's go ahead and get started with fact or myth. Angelina, if you could advance us to the next slide. So to you, Jean Marie, SSNs are used when pulling criminal records from courthouses. Fact or myth?
Fact.
Okay. And let's move to final answer. And there we go. Oh, it says, I'm so sorry. I didn't think that the screen moved. I apologize. Myth, final answer. So it is not a fact, it is a myth. Brittany or Ryan, could you tell us why?
So SSN traces and SSN numbers provide us with address history and alias names. But when you pull records from county courthouses, federal courthouses, and or state repositories, you do so only using name and date of birth, which is why it's so important to have those alias names, because if you don't have the alias name, you can't just hand over an SSN. So SSN traces are extremely important, but you still have to use those names when searching the respective jurisdiction.
All right, over to the next question. Fact or myth, Jean Marie, currently there is no way to verify if a candidate has a legitimate medical marijuana card.
Fact.
Can we move?
I think she has a point though.
I know. I was wondering how you were going to handle
it. I just realized the way that it was worded. That I think we could have done better here. So we were saying myth because we can validate that it was prescribed.
Right.
But technically, there is no way to verify if it is a legitimate card. So the card itself, right. I think this is a challenge that Jean Marie should take up to senior management, and it should be overturned.
I think we can overturn this, Jean Marie, on the committee of 1. So point to you. Let's go ahead to the last fact or myth for you, Jean Marie. OIG searches do not meet CMS minimums for sanctions and exclusion screening.
Mm. I think that's a myth.
It is a fact. Ryan or Brittany, tell us more.
So CMS states that if you are excluded on one list, you are excluded on all lists. And the OIG search or OIG SAM is only that repository, but there are thousands of sanctions and exclusion repositories out there, and really the ones that are most, I would say, important, not to say that anyone is more important than the other, is all of the state level Medicare and Medicaid exclusion lists, which is why we always default back to that FACES search, the FACES level 1M, the FACES level 3, to ensure that you're picking all of those up. So
thanks, Ryan. Definitely some tough ones, Jean Marie. Thanks for your answer. So just to recap before we go to the lightning round, continue the lightning round, next 3 questions. So the children's team, Jean Marie is at 3. So Robin, Mia, and Shah, you have to get all 3 right here, okay? So the first fact or myth to the children's team. I liked that warm up, Mia. An SSN trace can be used to confirm the identity of a candidate.
Okay, I think, this is not final answer, but I think to my team that that is a fact.
I would like to think it is
I think
as well.
it's a myth.
It's to the individual, but Shah, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think, Sean?
I think it's a myth,
You think it's a myth? Wow.
just based on what we've seen in the past few candidates, and how you can easily trick an SSN trace.
Wait, because the social security number, hold on. We just talked about this. Let's see.
With the grandfather, with the
Between the trace and the number and then the discussion that we had, right?
yeah. So I think it's the social security number and the death check, I think that would need to go hand in hand to make sure that it does truly tie to the individual. So I don't know, I think Shah's on to something.
I think so too. So is that our final answer? Are we gonna say myth? Because I think that's
Myth? Okay. And as a reminder, there is a lifeline to the audience poll. I should have reminded you, Jean Marie, even in the last round. But final answer here, myth. Let's see the answer. Myth. Got it right. 1 point to the children's team. Well done. Brittany or Ryan, but anything to add?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. This is a myth. The social security trace cannot be used to confirm the identity of a candidate. As we talked about before, it is used solely to gather jurisdictions for searching and alias name purposes, but it is not something that you would use to validate a candidate's identity. We do have identity services available, but this is something that is used, basically it comes from the candidate's credit history or the credit header. So it's all of the names, addresses associated with their social security number. That could be folks that they've lived with, folks that they've co-signed on something for. So it is an informational tool, but it is not a validation tool.
Thank you. Let's move to the second fact or myth. The Social Security Administration prohibits the use of Death Master Index data for employment purposes. Fact or myth?
I feel like that might be a myth, just because Sterling mentioned that they do have a service that can look into that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking too, because we just talked about this one and they do have that extra service.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't prohibit if there is a service that allows us to see the information. What do you think, Robin?
Well, these are some tricky, but
I
you know, I'm say yes, but this is fact. But I'm going to take one for the team. If
Do we want to use a lifeline?
We can. Do you want to do the lifeline?
You know, maybe not for this one. I think if we were all, you know, indecisive here, but I'll follow the lead of my team here. We're gonna go with,
Everyone said myth, right? You said?
We did.
All right. Let's see the answer.
Oh,
This is a fact. The Social Security Administration does not allow the use of the Death Master Index to make employment purposes. Purposes, the same way that you can't use a Social Security trace to make a hiring decision. This is not information that a candidate can necessarily change or use. It's just identifying information, right? These are identifiers for you. This isn't something they can dispute. If that is their Social Security number, it's theirs and they can't dispute that information. So it can't be used to make a hiring decision. Ryan, do you have any more details on that?
Yeah, so this is probably the trickiest question in the entire deck, and there are multiple layers to this, but really the most simplistic point, you cannot use it, but what you can use is the Social Security Administration has a validation service. It's paper, it's clunky, you don't want to do it on every candidate, it requires a wet signature, but when you get a hit on the Death Master file, it triggers that consent-based Social Security verification that you can then use that to make the hiring decision. And so this is somewhat of the Death Master file search is somewhat of a locator tool, like an SSN spins up a county search, Death Master file spins up the consent-based Social Security verification. So it's the only way to do this compliantly while still ensuring you're not running, doing a background check with a known deceased person. So it would have been impossible to get this one right.
I want to take a stab at summing that up, and then Ryan, Brittany, just validate, because this one is confusing and could confuse the audience easily. So the Death Master Index should be used as an identifier and a locator, essentially, to make sure the person is using a Social Security number aligned to their name. However, you cannot use the information found to make the hiring decision. We would launch a service from any adverse information identified, and that consent-based Social Security service that would need to be launched in that case could be used to make the hiring decision. So you need one to do the other in this case, but you need both.
Yes, that is correct.
And that was super difficult. So I would like to say that, children, you are not out of the game yet. You did also say that the BD candidate would be caught, would catch the record. So you technically have 2 points. So if you get the last one correct, we'll go to the tiebreaker. So we keep giving you the tricky ones, but we know you.
okay.
Brittany, I completely align. So we have a score of 3-2 right now. To the children's team, Brittany's looking out for you. I think she was the first account manager at Sterling that the children's national team ever had more than a decade ago. So let's go ahead and jump to the last fact or myth. The Joint Commission requires all accredited healthcare employers to verify a high school degree if it is the highest degree the candidate has completed. Fact or myth?
I'd say
that. Yeah.
You say what?
I say fact.
Yes, I say fact. Sha, because you see these all the time.
Agree. Yep.
All right, we're gonna lock it in.
Let's lock it in.
Lock it in. We're fact.
Fact.
All right, locked in. No lifeline used. Well done. Brittany, go ahead. I'm sorry, let's reveal the answer.
So this is a myth. So the Joint Commission does not require that all accredited healthcare employers verify a high school degree. The Joint Commission says that you must follow the policy created by your organization. So if your organization says that you must validate the highest level of education, and that's high school, then you must for every single candidate. It has to be a uniform process across the policy. But the Joint Commission just says you need to follow your policy for every candidate.
And so we responded to this question based on our own internal.
Well, then I think that moves us to the lightning round in this friendly competition. So we can still, let's assume 3-3 based on how you answered, Robin, Mia, and Shaw, and let's go to the lightning round. So this next slide will be our last fact or myth. The bonus question, answer first to get the point if you're right. Equality identity verification will ensure you always have the candidate's full legal name and accurate date of birth and SSN. And you can just shout out your answer when you have it.
I say myth.
Can we poll just for fun?
I like it.
Yeah, let's do it. I don't know if Angelina has the poll prepared, but Angelina, if you
look
can.
at that.
Wow.
Don't question Angelina, Jen.
I guess not. Always prepared. So take a second, audience, to answer the question, and we'll close the poll in about 5 seconds. All right. Please pick your radio button if you haven't yet, audience. And Angelina, if you can go ahead and close the poll. And let's see. Act, 75%. So how about if we reveal the answer? Actually, no, children's. I'm sorry. Do you want to tell us which way you want to go, and then we'll go ahead and reveal the answer?
They confirmed what I thought. What do you guys think? Because that you have to have that. I say fact. What do you guys say?
I'll say fact. I'm going to lean on the poll.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and reveal the answer. It is a fact. Brittany or Ryan, who's taking this one?
I guess I'll go for it. So an identity verification will actually pre-populate the candidate portal with the individual's full legal name, DOB, and SSN, and those fields will be locked down and the candidate will not be able to edit them. So that ensures that we are always searching for the legal name as well as any prior names and that SSN, and the DOB when we're going to pull the records is always accurate. So this identity verification essentially closes the biggest loopholes that exist that Shaw had called out that have existed with traditional background checks.
Awesome, thank you so much. So let's end. There were a few freebies kind of given out, some accommodations made for the trick question. So let's assume a tie. I hope that that's not an exciting outcome for anyone, but you all are winners, and thank you so much. You will be receiving some great Sterling swag from us. We really appreciate you participating. I found this really enjoyable, a lot of fun. It was awesome to do this with each one of you. I hope you all felt the same way. The biggest takeaway from today is that background screening is complex. Even when you're an expert, you can't know it all. You're always learning something new. And when you do go ahead and build your background screening program, remember it's risk mitigation. So you have to layer on products on top of products to ensure you've got the best risk mitigation policy. And, you know, it goes without saying, there's obviously a strong balance every employer is trying to make today to keep the candidate pipeline plentiful, bring people in the door quickly, but at the same time, be responsible to policy and regulators and run the right checks so that you hire in accordance to your policy and those regulators. So thank you so much, like I said, and we had great audience attendance actually, and I saw that the audience, everyone stayed on nearly for the entire time. So that means I think we did a good job in drawing attention. Thank you so much again, like I said, and everyone have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.